Jamie Dornan shocked. There's a scene with Dakota Johnson I never want to do again. In the bare space of a studio on the outskirts of Dublin, Jamie Dornan agreed to do a lengthy interview with Backstage Confidential magazine. No PR team, no management, no editing required. The topic was not new movies, not recent breakthrough roles. But a question he had avoided for nearly 10 years, is there a scene with Dakota Johnson in 50 Shades that you never want to do again? He was silent for 6 seconds. Then he nodded slightly. Yes. And more than one. When cinema transcends the screen. People once thought that 50 Shades was a cinematic joke, revolving only around daring sex scenes. But few understood that, between the two characters Christian Grey and Anastasia Steele, there was a very real emotional layer, so much so that the actors who played them took a long time to separate themselves from the role. Jamie Dornan says, I went into the film as a professional. But I didn't leave the film like that. First scene, the pen and the contract, one of the most seemingly light-hearted scenes, the one that Jamie couldn't take back. It was Christian putting a pen to Anastasia's lips, in the middle of her first reading of the BDSM contract. There was no physical contact. But there was a level of power and tension that was terrifying. Jamie remembers Dakota's eyes that day, uncertain, not just in character. I'm not sure how much of it was Dakota acting. And how much of it was her being genuinely worried about our relationship at that moment. The scene was shot only once. The director didn't ask for a repeat. If Jamie had to do a retake, he says, I think I would have just walked out. The belt scene, when a character actually hurts an actor. One of the most controversial scenes in the series is when Christian hits Anastasia with a belt, a scene Jamie says he couldn't sleep that night. Dakota told me before we shot it, just keep your distance and follow the props, and I'll be fine. But because she said that, I felt like a bad person. Jamie didn't actually hit her. But the sound, the light, the gasps, the screech of leather as it landed on her back, it all made the atmosphere on set feel strangely heavy. She didn't cry after the scene. But I saw Dakota sitting alone in the dressing room for almost an hour, not saying a word to anyone. That was the first time Jamie asked the crew to never repeat the scene. I couldn't do it again. Not because I was embarrassed, but because my heart wouldn't let me. The elevator, goodbye, scene, where reality and film collide. The scene where Dakota leaves Christian after they can no longer bear the suffocating relationship between them is one of the most heartbreaking. Jamie says, she said, stop, no more, but the look in her eyes that day made me think she wasn't just talking to Christian Grey. She was talking to me. The scene was filmed in one evening. It didn't take many takes. But Jamie admits it was the first time he cried after a scene, once he was in the dressing room. I think, I was really scared of losing her. Not in the movie, but in real life. She was my co-star, she was my best friend, she was someone I loved very much. Jamie has never admitted to loving Dakota, but he has also never denied their special feelings for each other. In the interview, when asked, if you could do 50 Shades again, would you do it again? Jamie laughs, quietly, yes, because I had the chance to meet Dakota, but if I could do it again, I would ask the director to cut some scenes. Not because they weren't good, but because they left scars that no one saw. The unscripted scene, and a real hug. One surprising thing Jamie reveals is that in the second part of the series, there is a scene that wasn't in the original script. Christian hugs Anastasia tightly from behind, in the dark apartment after she returns. I don't know why I did it. I just felt, if I didn't hug her then, I would regret it. The director was going to cut that scene. But when they reviewed it, The whole crew decided to keep it because it was so real. Jamie ends that story with a sad nod. That hug wasn't Christian giving Anastasia. It was me giving Dakota. Haunting scenes not about sex. Many people think it's the sex scenes that make actors uncomfortable. But for Jamie Dornan, it's the emotional moments, when Christian hurts Anastasia, or when the two can't connect, that make him unforgettable. I've never hit anyone, but when I play Christian, I have to control my body like a person who controls someone else's pain. Dakota trusts me, and sir, every time I hurt her in the role, I feel like I'm betraying that trust. I'm not that man anymore. Jamie admits that after 50 Shades, it took him nearly 2 years to wash away the image of Christian Grey from himself. I dream about the scenes. I wake up feeling guilty. I call Dakota a lot just to say, "Are you okay?" She always smiles, telling him not to worry, but Jamie says, if I had to do those scenes again, I'm afraid I wouldn't be as good as I was before. Not because I lacked the skills, but because I'm not that man anymore. I've changed. I can't be the one to hurt Dakota, even in a movie. Again, the end, and what not to do. When the interview ended, Jamie stood up, removed his microphone, and before leaving, he said, "People keep asking me why I don't want to do those scenes again. I think, because there are things that, when you act too real, you never dare touch again. Because you're afraid you'll still have feelings. Because you're afraid that, it's not just acting anymore." Quote.